After 3 years of entanglement with Evan, I was bruised and wounded and chose to marry Julian, who had always been by my side silently. Julian and I have been married for 7 years and have a lovely daughter. I think he and the child are the light I caught before sunset until I accidentally opened his diary when he was 18 years old. If possible, don't have children with someone you don't love. It turned out that he didn't want children before because of this reason. It turned out that he liked someone else. It turned out that his love with me was just a long-planned approach. Even my child liked that woman as much as he did. I resolutely chose to go abroad. But that day, he and the child stood downstairs holding hands. "Mom, when will you go home? Wife, when will you go home?" I found the small secret compartment in Julian's study. I couldn't open it no matter what password I used. My birthday, Tara's birthday, wedding anniversary. I laughed a little. In order to prepare a birthday gift for me, it was too mysterious. Until my birthday. When everyone was setting off fireworks at the beach to celebrate, Vivian accidentally fell into the water. Julian was the first to rush over, jumped into the sea, and rescued her. His subconscious anxiety and reckless impulse. My smile, which was still expecting a surprise, faded. At night, Julian fell asleep. I went to the study barefoot and tried the password again. This time it opened. The password was Vivian's birthday. There was no surprise in the secret compartment, but a yellowed diary. Julian's diary when he was 18 years old. Turning to the first page, the boy's handwriting was elegant and agile, and every word told the hardship and bitterness of secret love. But the person he secretly loved was Vivian. I closed it silently and secretly took the diary away. After 7 years of marriage, I always thought Julian loved me deeply. That's why I tried my best to heal me who was hurt by the last relationship. Now, our daughter is 3 years old, and we are a loving family that everyone in the rich circle envy. I didn't realize it until I saw this diary. My happy life is like a thin piece of paper, which can be broken by a poke. I sat on the balcony all night. It was not until dawn that I coaxed Tara to get up as usual. When combing her hair, her round face was full of worry. "Will my aunt come today?" I explained patiently, "My aunt fell into the water yesterday. I need to rest well today. I can't take you to the aquarium. Can Mom take you there?" The little round face in the mirror was full of disappointment. "No." I combed her hair and was about to put on a beautiful little dress for her. Tara muttered, Mom, don't go to the beach on your birthday in the future." Before I could react, I heard her say unhappily, "It's because Mom is going to the beach that my plan with my aunt fell through." My hand froze in mid-air. Vivian is my stepsister brought by my stepmother. I started to have a cold relationship with her. Not to mention that she was with my ex-boyfriend Evan. I avoided suspicion even more on weekdays. Until Tara was born. I was a new mother, so I was busy and worried about my career. She volunteered to take care of Tara for me so that I could concentrate on my painting art. Our relationship became closer. No matter what Julian did, Vivian was always unaware of Evan because she loved him. I suppressed my complicated emotions and put on my pale face. She fell into the water last night, and I was going to her house to see him. As soon as I entered the door of Yvonne's family, I heard Aunt's strange voice. "Julian has come," and I was wondering why the eldest lady didn't come with him. I was stunned. I thought Julian hurried out to the company in the morning, but I didn't expect that he came to visit Vivian first. I went upstairs quietly. Before I went in, I heard Julian's gentle voice from inside. "You are weak to begin with, take good care of yourself." This time, it was Yvonne who shouldn't have gone to the beach that caused this. It turns out that Julian's gentleness can also be given to others. I clenched my fingers tightly. Vivian replied gently. "Don't blame my sister, it's my carelessness." I turned around and sat in the living room waiting. A moment later, my father also came. After seeing me, he began to sternly criticize me. It's a good birthday, why do you have to go to the beach to celebrate it? Vivian's health is not good, you as a sister. I have long been accustomed to such partiality, so I simply turned my head and pretended not to hear. Julian always defended me in front of me. But at this moment, he just helped Vivian, who was wearing pajamas, downstairs. Seeing the situation in the living room, Vivian hurriedly tried to smooth things over. I was careless last night. By the way, my sister is here too, why didn't Julian tell me? I didn't want to quarrel with Julian in front of Yvonne's family. I didn't say anything. Julian's calm face flashed a trace of surprise, but he quickly reacted. He walked down and gently took my hand, then we won't bother you anymore. It seems that he is afraid that I will make a scene. His hands were tightly clenched, clamping me like steel. He quickly pulled me out. Until I got into the car. I tried to calmly ask, do you have anything to say? Julian frowned, then explained patiently. Yvonne, I apologized on your behalf, but I was afraid that you would think too much. I interrupted him, what do I have to apologize for? Puzzled eyes flashed in his dark eyes, didn't Vivian fall into the water last night? It was not just an accident? I met the ink-like eyes in front of me, and my heart seemed to leak a big hole, and the wind blew cold. I opened my mouth, do you think it's my fault? He frowned and disagreed, Vivian was in poor health to begin with, and she had such an accident. You, as a sister. The same accusation. It was particularly hurtful when it came out of Julian's mouth. My eyes were red, and his voice stopped abruptly. I once thought that Julian cared about Vivian so much just to help me repair the scarred family relationship. I was immersed in his thoughtfulness. But I didn't know that all this was just my fantasy. The car started, and after a moment of silence, Julian's apology came. I'm sorry, I didn't consider your feelings. I turned my head and opened the car window. Let the wind dry the tears on my face. The way home was particularly long. Speechless all the way. But the moment I pushed the door open, I wiped the tears from my face and put on my expression. Auntie took Tara to play with toys. As soon as she heard the door open, she smiled and flew into Julian's arms. Dad. I want to go to the aquarium. Julian subconsciously glanced at me, can Mom and I take you there? Tara turned her head away, I don't want Mom to go. Looking at the back of that round head, I couldn't hide the bitterness in my heart. It's okay, I just blame myself for not accompanying Tara enough. I softened my voice, then Mom can cook Tara's favorite food at home, okay? The little figure finally moved and looked at me with dark eyes. Okay, Tara wants to eat the sweet and sour pork ribs made by Mom. My heart was warmed a little. Until the big and small left. I took off my strength, raised my weak feet, went back to the room and fell on the bed. If it were Yvonne, who was 22 years old. At the first glance at the diary, she would divorce decisively. She would rather die than live in disgrace. But Yvonne, 32, is a coward. She has been soaked in the warm water for 7 years and she has lost her pride. It was just an 18-year-old diary. Who hasn't liked someone when they were young? It should have passed. I quietly opened the diary again and read it. If I am with someone I don't love in the future, I would rather not have children. After reading this sentence, I was already in tears. Julian did not want children before, but he just said that he didn't want me to experience the pain of childbirth. I never doubted it. Until I got drunk and careless, I got pregnant. He wanted to persuade me to abort it. I insisted on staying, and then Tara was born. I fell asleep with tears. In the dream, I met Julian, 22 years old. I just ran away from home after a quarrel with my father's partiality. He was silent like the reflection of a big tree, silently holding an umbrella for me. No one will love you, I will always be here. I cried loudly in the rain, but I was afraid that others would see it. He stood in front of me, his back was wet by the rain, but he used an umbrella to cover me tightly. When I woke up again, I realized that it was late. I got up quickly, and the sweet and sour pork ribs that Tara wanted to eat were not cooked yet. I supported my top-heavy body, refused Aunt's help, and prepared a table of food. But until dark, the father and daughter did not come back. I looked at the door again and again. The door was empty. Aunt tactfully advised, "Madam, maybe the young lady and her family are eating outside. Why don't you eat first?" I was a little absent-minded, "But Tara, don't you want to eat the sweet and sour pork ribs made by your mother?" Finally, I put on my clothes and went out. I want to find out where they are. I rushed to the aquarium, but it was closed. The person in charge received me attentively. "Julian has taken the young lady and Yvonne back." Yvonne. I realized who it was and understood it a little. I arrived at Yvonne's family, but did not dare to go in. The villa was brightly lit, warm and harmonious. There were faint sounds of talking and laughing, mixed with Tara's childish words. I like eating the plum ribs made by my aunt the most. I stood in the shadow outside the door, like a shadow without light, peeping at the happiness of others. Through the window, I could see Julian's gentle eyebrows. He said in a clear voice, "Vivian was sick and accompanied you to the aquarium." What would Tara say? "Thank you, Aunt. It would be great if you were my mother. Then I could eat plum ribs every day." Lies can deceive others, but not yourself. I left in despair. The child who smiled and called Mom. The man who was gentle and called wife. Did they all like Vivian in the end? What about me? What am I? Finally, my consciousness fell into chaos. When I opened my eyes, I found myself lying in the hospital. There was a figure next to me. I subconsciously thought it was Julian and turned my head away. But I unexpectedly heard a childish voice. "Are you awake?" I turned my head and saw a half-grown boy, who looked dark and thin. He was very nervous when he saw me wake up. "The person on your phone couldn't be reached, and I paid the medical expenses." At this time, the doctor walked in with a stern face. "You don't know your own body, you have a high fever and are in shock. If you hadn't met this kind boy, then..." I finally understood the situation. It turned out that I fainted on the roadside and was sent to the hospital after being found by this half-grown boy. I had a high fever in the hospital for a whole night and the fever subsided in the early morning. I returned the money to the boy, said a few words of thanks, and hurried back home. No one was at home. I opened the diary and read the last few entries. "If you like him, I will also let you get what you want, even if you have to use any means." After reading this, what else do I not understand? Vivian likes Evan. Julian's companionship and love for me. It was just because he was afraid that Evan and I would get back together and interfere with Vivian's happiness. My heart seemed to be torn into pieces. I laughed, and tears fell. Aunt knocked on the door gently and spoke as usual. "Vivian has a high fever in the Yvonne family, and no one is taking care of her. Julian and the little lady stayed there and will not come back." I laughed at myself. Such obvious details, I didn't notice before. What's more stupid is that I still can't bear to give up these false beauties. Concealing the loss, I spoke calmly. "It's okay. Mrs. Zhang, please clear out my things." Mrs. Zhang was puzzled. "What's this, madam?" I smiled and said, "Go ahead and clear it out." After I let it go, I was willing to let it go. Soon my things were cleared out, and I called a moving company to pack them and send them to another place. Looking at the empty house, the only things left were the paintings in the studio. Early the next morning, I asked people to move all the paintings out and pile them in the yard. Most of them were portraits. I looked at the paintings piled on the ground. Julian's affectionate eyes, Tara's smile, and so many other things have witnessed every moment of my happiness. I asked people to help pile the paintings in the yard and finally set them on fire. The flames suddenly jumped up and engulfed the scroll. When the flames were burning, Julian came back with Tara. He looked at the burned painting with a frown. "Why are you so angry?" Until the flames completely engulfed the familiar profile of the painting, I raised my eyes to look at Julian. "Julian, let's get a divorce." Julian's brows were heavy, and he seemed to have noticed something. "You read my diary?" I took out the diary, smiled, and slapped the diary on his face. "Yes, you like her. What does it have to do with me? Why do you involve me?" Those deliberate approaches, those intentional gestures. The heavy diary made Julian's face red. Seeing this, Tara immediately slapped my legs with a serious face. Bad guy, don't hit Daddy." I came to my senses and wanted to pick up Tara on the ground, but she pushed me away. "Don't hit Tara, Daddy." I didn't want to lose control in front of the child, so I tried my best to calm down and coax her. "Tara, go back to the room with Aunt Zheng, okay?" Then I asked Aunt Zheng to take her away. Tara immediately started crying. Bad guy, Tara doesn't like you anymore." My heart was throbbing with pain. Julian said with a serious face, "Let's go to the study room to talk." Before he took a few steps, a figure suddenly came in. "What's wrong?" Vivian's appearance made Julian and I stunned for a while. She explained, "I was afraid that you, my brother-in-law, would have trouble explaining to me, so I followed you." Looking at everything around her at this moment, she was a little overwhelmed. I took a step closer to Vivian. But before I got close to her, Julian subconsciously stood in front of her and said in a low voice, "Yvonne, our affairs should not involve others." Looking at his protective demeanor, I was stunned. Does he think I want to vent my anger on Vivian? I can't tell whether I am calm or tired. I glanced at Vivian and then spoke. "I will have someone send the divorce agreement. There is nothing to talk about. I will not agree to the divorce." Julian lowered his voice and frowned. I didn't say anything, but dragged my feet back to the room. Wait until it calmed down outside. I tidied my face and prepared to go to Tara's room. This is the child I have been expecting for a long time after 10 months of pregnancy. As long as Tara is willing, I will take her away with me. I thought of the words and came to the door of his room, just about to knock. But I heard Vivian's worried voice from inside. "Julian, no matter what you and sister quarreled about, you shouldn't do this. It will have a bad influence on the child." I realized that the two of them were in Tara's room. "Yeah, I know." I was about to leave. But I heard Vivian ask jokingly, "If Mom and Dad divorce, who will Tara be with?" I was immediately angry. How can you ask a child like this? I kicked the door open. Vivian and Julian were sitting on the sponge cushion to play with Tara. They were a little surprised when they heard the noise. I looked up. With whom? Divorce, Tara must follow me. Vivian stood up in a panic. "I'm just kidding, sister, don't be impulsive." I looked at Vivian expressionlessly. "You know he likes you, right?" Vivian's face turned pale. What? Don't pretend." I said, "You call me sister, but call him Julian? He can leave me and take the children to accompany you at any time. Can you enjoy it so comfortably? Don't you claim to like Evan? Doesn't he know that you are entangled with your brother-in-law?" Vivian's face became paler. I don't. Enough. Julian's eyes were cold. "Calm down. It's not me who did anything wrong. How dare you ask me to calm down?" I glared at him coldly. Then I wanted to pull Tara. "Go with Mom, don't be with this scumbag." Tara didn't move and cried. "I won't leave." "Don't take it out on the child." Vivian was anxious and then tried to pull my hand away. I held back my breath. "I feel sorry for my child better than you do." I wanted to push Vivian's hand away, and when I pulled I suddenly felt pain in my wrist. Tara bit my wrist. "Let go of my aunt. I hate you." I didn't have much strength, but the faint pain was enough to calm me down. Until Tara was pulled away by Julian. She burst into tears. Don't bully Dad and Aunt. I was pale and murmured, but I'm a mother. Where my eyes were, Tara buried her head in Vivian's arms. Vivian patted her while looking embarrassed. He said children have their own preferences, don't mind. My heart became colder. My own preferences, haha, what can I care about? I was lost and turned away. Sister. Vivian called out but was stopped by Julian. Don't mind her. It was late at night. I walked down the street in a daze, my mind was in a mess. My original idea was to divorce and take Tara away. But now it seems that Tara doesn't like me very much. I am such a failed mother. When I staggered, I was suddenly supported by someone. The man's strength was not strong. I turned my head and saw a young boy who was as tall as my waist. Is it you? It was the child who sent me to the hospital. He was wearing a washed-out t-shirt and holding a cloth bag of mineral water in his hand. Why are you out there alone? Why don't you go home? We said at the same time. When I saw the mineral water bottle in his hand, I realized that such a young child had already shouldered the burden of life. I was a little lost and wanted to keep going. Home, I don't have a home anymore. 7 years of business is like a joke, worthless. I chose to marry Julian at the peak of my career. Later, I was just an unknown pawn in the painting world. I used to think that there are gains and losses. Now it seems that there is only regret. I have nothing left. I walked a few steps forward, but I realized that the boy was still following me. Seeing my blank eyes, he spoke hesitantly. If you have no place to stay, you can go to my house. I laughed. It's not safe to invite strangers to your house. What about your family, won't they worry? He was silent for a moment and suddenly shook his head. No. Somehow, I went home with the boy. His family lived in an ordinary residential building and there was a grandmother with a cane at home. The old woman had poor eyesight and after hearing the boy's purpose, she warmly entertained him. There is still a room, come and sleep here, it's clean. I nodded. Before I went to bed, I noticed an old photo on the bedside. It showed a gentlewoman holding a child and smiling. The child's eyes were somewhat similar to the boy's and I realized that the woman was his mother. From the smile, I am somewhat similar to this woman. I was silent when I realized that there were no other middle-aged women's things in the room. I slept well that night. At dawn, I got up quietly and left some money for this family. When I walked downstairs, a group of children saw me coming out of this house. They laughed immediately. Why did you come out of this little bastard's house? Did you get cheated? It took me a long time to understand that they were laughing at the boy. I said seriously, children splash dirty water and curse at people at will. The police will catch you. The group of children scattered. Someone seemed to have withdrawn his gaze above my head and I sighed. Then I asked a friend here to help me take care of the child. Maybe I had a good sleep. I had strength again and I drafted a marriage agreement with a lawyer and had someone send it over. On the other hand, I completed the procedures for going abroad. I will go abroad to study art as soon as the divorce agreement is signed. It only took 2 or 3 weeks. They didn't agree. I had no choice but to agree to the meeting proposed by Julian. In the coffee shop, little Tara was sitting next to him. I hadn't seen her for half a month, so I looked at Tara a few more times. But she turned her head away in anger and refused to look at me. Julian considerately pushed the coffee in front of me and a hint of depression appeared on his handsome face. Do you have to divorce? Tara is only 3 years old. Besides, you are not close to Yvonne's family. How can you live alone after the divorce? I looked calm. Then you should give me more property. Julian's face changed and he continued to persuade. Isn't it good for us to live like before? I looked at the indifferent person in front of me and I was very disappointed. I just felt that I had never seen through him. You approached me for Vivian, right? He was silent for a moment, which was considered as tacit agreement. Even though I knew the answer long ago, my heart was inevitably aching at this moment. I sneered, "So you want me to swallow the glass? There is no possibility for me to get back together with Evan, and you don't have to tie my life down forever." "Yvonne," Julian said calmly. "You are the mistress of the Julian family, and you have never changed. Besides, Vivian and Evan are in a harmonious relationship now, and she and I have never done anything out of line. As long as you don't divorce, I will keep my distance from Vivian." Hearing this, I finally understood. If I insist on divorce, there will always be rumors. At that time, it will not affect Vivian's feelings. So in the final analysis, you are still for Vivian. Such infatuation is really beyond reach. I can't sit down anymore, so I stand up. "Don't talk to me about your disgusting pros and cons. If you don't want to sign, then go through the court procedure." I turned around and wanted to leave but was stopped by a sentence. "What about Tara?" Julian knows how to catch my weak spot. I turned back. Tara didn't look at me and still turned her head away in anger. I chuckled. "You are her biological father, you will never treat her badly." Maybe I was firm in my attitude. Julian saw that the hard way didn't work, so he started to play soft cards. Not only did he bring Tara to my other side of the residence every day. Countless gifts and flowers were sent to me. But I received all this when I least cared. Even Vivian came to my house to persuade me, but I didn't see her. The longer I stayed here, the more I consumed my energy. I made up my mind to change the environment as soon as possible. After handing over to the lawyer and helping me to handle the divorce, I rushed to the airport. As soon as I opened the door of the waiting VIP room, a big and a small turned their heads to look at me. "Mom," Tara called. Julian's back was straight and his tone softened. "Yvonne, come back." He deliberately let Tara stop me. Tara hugged my legs and said pitifully, "Mom, Tara is wrong." I looked at her big watery eyes, which were very cute. But my mind recalled that night. The bite she bit me. The child may be ignorant, and I shouldn't care too much. But at this moment, I can vaguely feel the pain of the bite mark. I didn't leave in the end. But it wasn't because of Tara. Rather, my friend who helped me take care of the boy told me that the boy's grandmother had an accident. When I rushed over, his grandmother had already covered her with a white cloth. Perhaps she was too old to bear the physical illness and died quietly in her sleep. The boy's name was Miles. I learned that his father died early, his mother ran away, and only a grandmother raised him. And except for the house left by his father, the boy had nothing else. I helped him with the funeral. He was very silent. Only when the grandmother was buried did she say something to me softly. "Thank you." Julian and Tara were also accompanying me not far away. He was very puzzled why I was so responsible for a boy I didn't know. I didn't explain. On the small dirt slope. Tara didn't like the gray environment and didn't want to put her feet on the ground. "When will Mom leave?" she urged again and again. The boy next to me knelt on the ground and spoke to me in a low voice. "Auntie, go ahead. You've helped me a lot." I ignored the urging behind me and asked him, "Are you willing to follow me?" He raised his head, but there was a flicker in his dark eyes. I'm not a good kid." Or, "Forget it." I touched his stiff head and said firmly, "I know you're a good kid. Are you willing to follow me?" After a moment of silence, the boy finally nodded, his eyes full of hope. "I do." I took him up. Seeing me move, Julian stepped forward, frowning slightly. "Go home now." I said coldly, "That's not my home." Tara was also a little dissatisfied when she saw me holding the boy. "Dirty." "Mom, let go, there's a virus." The boy was not dirty, but his skin was dark. I looked at Tara and said seriously, "Who taught you to talk like that?" When she heard my stern tone, tears welled up in her eyes and she burst into tears. The boy behind me was a little at a loss. I grabbed his shoulders and said, "From now on, he will have the same last name as me, Tong, and be called Miles." Julian frowned in disapproval. But I ignored them and took Miles away. Julian's voice came from behind. "You can do whatever you want. But tomorrow is Tara's birthday, you should come back." I stopped, thought about it, and finally said nothing. After returning home, Miles was still a little uncomfortable, just sitting on the sofa stiffly. Until I took him to the bathroom and taught him how to take a bath with boiling water and where to sleep. After everything was done, he blinked his eyes that looked round because of his skinny and said, "I washed clean, I'm not dirty anymore." I couldn't help feeling a little sad when I heard it. But I still smiled and said, "You have never been dirty." "Then tomorrow is my sister's birthday, will she like me?" He was a little nervous to please. I was silent for a moment and said, "It doesn't matter whether I like you or not. We'll leave tomorrow." The next morning, I took Miles on a plane to a foreign country. No one stopped us this time. I asked someone else to deliver Tara's birthday present. I thought that with Vivian around, she wouldn't mind my absence. After arriving in a foreign country, everything had to start over. And I found that Miles actually had an amazing talent for art. I was studying fine arts at Pericles College while teaching Miles. Seeing his talent, I felt satisfied as if I had a proud child. Our daily life was very simple. During this period, I also heard that Julian had traveled across the ocean to find me. But I had changed my name a long time ago. In the vast sea of people, it would be easy for a person who wanted to hide. Only Tara's gift was something I never missed. In the new year, I took Miles to participate in a creative art competition abroad. My work won the first prize. Miles also won the special prize in the youth group. At the award ceremony, I took the now thin and tall boy to the stage and took the trophy from the host. The host was full of praise and handed the brief to Miles. Then what was the inspiration for this painting new son? Miles had lost his previous silence and shyness and became introverted and steady. After being adopted by my mother, my life has been like this new son. The audience applauded. Tears welled up in my eyes. In the past, I always put salvation on others. I never thought that one day I could be a big umbrella to protect from wind and rain. During the interview, I suddenly saw a familiar figure not far away. As soon as the interview was over, I hurried off the stage with Miles. Before I walked out, a crisp voice came from behind. "Mom." I turned my head. Tara has grown a lot taller and has grown from a dumpling to an exquisite little princess. Julian came out from the corner behind him. The originally clear face also has a few more vicissitudes of time. I was not surprised to be found by them. It was a matter of time. I didn't plan to escape anymore. What surprised me was that Miles stood in front of me with a cold face. "What do you want with my mother?" Tara was furious. "You are just adopted, why are you yelling? This is my mother." Miles had also heard about my previous affairs. Seeing that I didn't speak, he spoke. "Didn't you not want your mother before? Now your mother doesn't need you either." Tara's eyes were filled with tears, and she looked at me hurriedly for confirmation. "Mom, it's not like that, right?" Julian's eyes were complicated, and he took a step forward. "It's been so long, you still won't forgive us?" Julian and I have been in the divorce lawsuit for so long, but it's still not settled. I said calmly. "I have found my new life, Julian, you should let it go." These years, whether I was fascinated by art or cuddled with Miles, the previous memories seem to be very far away from me. They can no longer easily stir my heartstrings. Tara cried with tears in her eyes, stepped forward, and held my hand. "No matter how good my aunt is, she is not my mother. I was ignorant before. Mom, I was wrong. Can you be my mother again? I don't want a brother." I couldn't refuse her, so I could only sigh and wipe her tears with a piece of paper. "Mom is still your mother." Her eyes were filled with hope, and she glanced at Miles proudly. Then can Mom come home with me and Dad? I let go of her hand and shook my head. You are still young and don't understand. Some things can't go back to the past. When you have your birthday, Mom will come back to see you. After comforting her for a few words, I turned my head. Let's go, Miles, go home. He and I walked side by side to the exit, and the backlight stretched our figures long. Julian's voice was hoarse. Yvonne, Tara and I have been waiting for you to come home. You said before that as a family, even if we make mistakes, we can be forgiven, right? Wrong? Julian, who has always been firm, also thinks that he is wrong. This not only makes me feel a little absurd but also a little funny. I just took a few steps towards Julian. Miles on the side suddenly became a little nervous, as if he was afraid that I would never come back. I patted his hand to comfort him. A family? Then what were you doing earlier? My voice was very calm. When I fainted outside with a high fever, and you were taking care of others, didn't you think about a family? When I waited for you to eat, the food was cold, didn't you think about a family? My voice became softer so that only Julian in front of me could hear it. When you didn't want me to have a baby before, didn't you think about a family? That diary is a permanent crack. After reading the diary, I have no choice but to reconcile. If he still had hope before I didn't look closely. After hearing this, his face turned completely pale. Hi. His voice was tight. I chuckled. Admit it, Julian, you are a coward. Let go when you should, don't let me look down on you. I turned around and pulled Miles forward without looking back. It was sunny outside. The breeze was warm and gentle. Miles looked at me worriedly. I chuckled as if a big stone had been lifted from my heart. Let's go, we won a medal today, so let's have a good meal as a reward. Miles seemed a little absent-minded during the meal. And I noticed it too. There were two sneaky figures not far away. They tried their best to be low-key, but they were used to being pampered. No matter how low-key they were still a little conspicuous in the eyes of others. Seeing Miles unable to eat, I sighed. What's wrong? Is the seafood here not delicious? Miles understood me very well, shook his head and asked the question directly. Are you really not going back with them? I smiled and ruffled his hair on his forehead. Silly child. I'm your mother, you go wherever I go. As for them, one is my blood child, and the other is just a stranger. It seems that they heard my voice. There was the sound of a bowl breaking on the side. Soon a manager ran over to deal with it. A panicked voice came, it's okay, it's okay. I wiped my hands clean. If you don't like eating here, then let's go to another place. It's been too long since I went to a high-end restaurant, and even I'm a little uncomfortable. Miles nodded happily. We simply mixed into the food court and bought fried skewers while walking. This is more comfortable. I laughed, neither of us can enjoy happiness. Miles shook his head and refuted seriously. You can enjoy happiness. Walking along the way, there were also two people following closely in the bustling crowd. It was just that I was bumped by this one and pushed away by that one. I saw it but didn't stop it. I just want to tell him in this way that our living habits are very different now. I am also different from the way they used to be familiar with. Just back home. Seeing that the two of them didn't seem to have any intention of giving up. I just sighed and then went into the apartment. The security here is very good, so there is no need to worry about letting other people in. Until the moon is above the treetops. There were actually two figures waiting downstairs. I shook my head and opened the door to go out. But as soon as I opened the door, Miles also opened the door. Mom, where are you going? I'll go with you. I smiled helplessly and then went downstairs with him. Julian's haggard face suddenly became energetic when he noticed me coming. Tara's eyes also lit up. Mom? I can also eat street fried skewers. I also like the stores that Mom has visited. Have you passed the test now? I sighed, there is no test. Also, you are with a child. It's so dangerous on the street at night. No matter what, I hope you can take responsibility. Julian's face turned pale and he nodded quickly, speaking concisely. Okay. Tara was a little confused. Dad, didn't you say that this is just a test for Mom, and as long as you pass it, Mom will go home? No one answered in the night wind. Miles suddenly spoke sympathetically. If you really want Mom to be well, go home and don't let her worry. She has to get up early tomorrow and waste her energy to deal with you in the middle of the night. Hearing Miles' voice, Tara suddenly became excited. It's all because of you that Mom doesn't want to go home with us. It's all your fault. She rushed over and pushed Miles. Miles staggered, and I hurried forward. Are you okay? He shook his head sensibly. I looked serious. Tara, what about your tutor? Did I teach you this when I was a child? Her eyes were stubborn. Then if I treat him well, will you come back? I calmed down for a moment before speaking. I am still your mother, this is an unchanging fact. It's just that everyone has their own preferences. Miles is also my child. I hope you can respect him. Looking at Tara's puzzled eyes, I gave up educating her and the man in front of me. I could only pull Miles aside and turn around to walk home. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, I still moved with Miles. But soon after, I heard the news that Julian brought Tara back to China. Miles and I studied in the United States for 4 years. Finally, I chose to return to China. Hometown is always a person's greatest emotional sustenance. It's just different from the unknown when I left. Now I have become famous in the art circle. I am often invited to give lectures in major universities. Miles also showed his talent, was admitted to a good university, and finally decided to stay in China to study. I didn't expect to meet Vivian again at a banquet. She was lonely, holding the hand of a strange man, showing a flattering smile. People on the side talked about her. I heard that they were planning to get married a few years ago, but I don't know why they dumped him. Later, I went to ask the Julian family to end it, but no one responded. It's really strange. Isn't she the white moonlight in the heart of the Julian family? Not sure. I left here with a red wine glass. From a distance, I saw Julian walking towards me. Although I knew that it was inevitable to meet again after returning to China, I turned around and left quickly. I don't know why he went from being gentle and self-reliant to being so difficult. It's rare to see each other face to face. I turned around and bumped into a tall chest in front of me, but fortunately, he held my waist. Yvonne, be careful. A low and magnetic voice sounded in my ears. I steadied my body and used the figure of this person to shield myself. How do you know my last name is Tong? Your paintings are very famous. The young man in front of me was elegant and seemed to see that I was hiding from him. He extended his hand elegantly. Why don't we go to the dance floor? I hesitated. He said with a hint of meaning, if the old doesn't go, the new won't come. I was pulled into the dance floor. The dance beats were accompanied by a fiery heartbeat. The past was forgotten, and at this moment, I seemed to have opened a new chapter. Mountains and seas all have their time to return, and everything will always go as planned.